What's good, Internet? This is the Fifth Down NFL newsletter, and I'm your host, Tony Tucker. We love talking football here, so leave a comment, consider subscribing. Thanks for stopping by. Second down right now, and this is the second time in 3 weeks that this show right here is talking about the Arizona Cardinals. So if you are a Cardinals fan, this is the place to be. It's not getting a lot of mainstream attention, and we understand that as Chargers fans. We don't get to turn on the TV and hear them talking about the Chargers that often. Although this week there will be a ton of talk about it. It's in the game of the week. It's Monday Night Football. But the Cardinals are on top of the NFC West. They're going to Seattle this weekend. Just had a bye week, and I was going through this. Because I'm trying to get my picks together and watch the 49ers Seahawks game last week. Seahawks are this team that's just been on a roller coaster. They win 3 in a row, and then they're losing a bunch of games, and now the defense is back and healthy and played a great game on Sunday. Kyler, 2-6 all time against the Seahawks, has lost 5 straight. They would still be in the driver's seat for the division. But do you feel like, is this a must win? Where are you at for the Cardinals in this game? Seahawks? Picks. What are you thinking about Kyler going to Seattle this weekend?
Seems like something's got to give there with that streak going. Damn. It's like some of the other streaks. Every time I make a video on a streak, Tony, it gets broken the next week. It's like a
Cardinals fans are begging you to make that video.
Say something out there, and that thing gets snapped immediately. I think that it's a big game for sure. I think it's definitely a big game, more so for the tone set on this final stretch of the Cardinals and all the NFC West teams' schedule here. The NFC West is going to be won or lost here at the end, because it's not even just this game, Tony. They're playing the Seattle Seahawks twice in the next 3 weeks. They're playing them here in Seattle on the road, and then they're going to be playing them in Arizona in a couple of weeks. That's why I don't think this is as must win as it is to beat them in a couple of weeks at home. It's more must win that they get one of those 2 games against Seattle. Really, the must-win games are the last 2 weeks. They play L.A. and San Francisco. I think both those games are on the road, I want to say. I'm not 100% certain. Those 2 games, I feel like will decide this division. They're probably going to be playing the 49ers for the division at the end or the Rams for the division at the end. I like the Seattle Seahawks. Like you said, it's been so inconsistent. I feel like they've been the most up-and-down team in the division other than the 49ers, but the 49ers, you can kind of understand what's been going on with them injury-wise and the Rams injury-wise. So I think that it's going to come down to those 3 teams down the stretch of the season. But, yeah, if Seattle beats the Cardinals here, they take the lead in the division, and then that next Seattle game to me will become must-win for the Cardinals. I think they can beat Seattle and snap this streak in these next 3 weeks. They also play the Vikings in the middle. I think a win against Minnesota would be huge for the Cardinals too. I don't think they're going to be competing against the Vikings necessarily for the wild card if it comes down to it. I think both teams would get in if the Cardinals become wild card hopefuls, but you never know. You never know, and it's tight in the NFC.
So that is part of the reason why I think this is sort of a must-win situation, because they are going to Minnesota, right? So we got back-to-back games for the road games for the Cardinals before the home game against Seattle. So it's like they're in Seattle this weekend, then they're going to Minnesota. That's probably going to be a pretty physical, tough game based on the way the Vikings defense has been playing this year. They do finish, like you said, on the road in SoFi. Not a tough place to play. I went and saw Kyler Murray play the Rams there a few years ago, and like I have always said, one of the most impressive athletes I've ever seen. I thought this guy was sacked for like a 17-yard loss, and he turned into like an 18-yard gain just by being able to get those little legs moving and get to the sideline. Then they finish at home with the Niners. We don't know what the situation is like with that team, because we'll talk about them more in the gambling segment. I could just continue to get L's from picking the 49ers. The other thing that I would say that's nice, though, is home game against the Patriots. Then they get the Panthers before those final 2 games of the season. So I still think the division's there. But I kind of feel like this is a must-win. Break the streak, build the confidence. Another reason why I feel like it's a must-win, Mike, you're coming off of a bye. Like, this is the kind of game where it's like, we should be rested. we should have all this film. I know that the Seahawks defense is back and looking better, and they look fantastic. The way Witherspoon's playing right now, Tariq Woolen, the defensive line, Leonard Williams, all the way from Hall to Boye Mafe. Boye Mafe was dropping into coverage last week and like breaking up plays in the middle as a defensive end. I just was like, I had to rewind it. I'm like, is that Mafe making that play in the middle? Like, it was fantastic. You know, like, can this defense for the Cardinals continue to just sort of rally together and keep making big plays? And we learn more of their names. Like, I think that's one of the things is like you start having to like look up who's on the roster. You know, it's like Wilson, where'd this guy come from? A lot of people aren't familiar with Kaiser White. So it's like they're learning about a lot of these guys in the secondary. Max Milton from Rutgers. Okay. Enough nerding out. We're gonna talk about the Cardinals again briefly when we get to the betting segment.
Yeah, keep nerding out, Tony. Don't stop nerding out. That's what we're here to do. Just nerd out. Come on. I think the Cardinals split with Seattle, beat Minnesota, win those other two games that you're talking about. And like I was saying, it's just that must win is you beat the Rams, you win the division, or the Niners, you win the division. It's going to come down to that. Can you get that one last win to clinch it?
Yeah, I think this team can win. What is it? 4 more games. I think they can get to 10. I think they can get to 10 wins, win this division. That'd be massive, especially going into next year, having cap space. The what's his name? Ossenfort, general manager. I'm blanking on what his name is. He has done a fantastic job. We all loved what he did in the draft the first year he got there, where he like traded back, then he traded up, and it's like, oh shit, this guy's wheeling and dealing and getting extra picks and, you know, picking players that like the fans were familiar with and we like. And I think overall they've worked out pretty nicely. I'm not going to lie and say that I'm sitting here, you know, watching Paris Johnson tape, because I'm definitely not that big of a nerd.